Hey, now we're good. Thank you, sir. All right, well, hey everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming. You are hopefully here for If You Give a Member Platform a Cookie, Lessons Learned Creating a Drupal Product for Membership Organizations. So hopefully, maybe, you're familiar with the book If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, which is a popular American children's book written by Laura Numeroff and illustrated by Felicia Bond. And if you're not, now you are, and that's why there are mice and cookies throughout this presentation. So my name's JD Leonard. I'm a freelance enterprise Drupal technical architect, backend developer, and consultant. And I've been building sites with Drupal since 2006. I'm a father of 2 kids. Ramona is 5 and Sam is 2. I'm based in Austin, which is the 11th place that I've lived. I'm a former lead organizer of the Drupal meetups in New York City, as well as Drupal Camp NYC. Former member of the Drupal NYC board, and now I'm an organizer of the Austin Drupal Users Group. I'm also the president of my local neighborhood association, the Zilker Neighborhood Association, which we'll hear a little bit more about in a bit. And I'm the self-appointed project lead of Member Platform. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the origin story and how this came to be. We'll talk about what Member Platform actually is and how it's being moved forward as a community initiative. We'll talk about the history of Member Platform and kind of what we've done so far. We'll look forward towards our MVP release and our 1.0 scope. And we'll talk about how you can get involved and how you can help. So to start, I was the treasurer at the Zilker Neighborhood Association, and it's a local nonprofit. It's not a homeowners association, right? A membership in a neighborhood association is voluntary, whereas in a homeowners association, because you live there, you must be a member and you have to pay dues. Neighborhood associations advocate on behalf of residents, whereas HOAs are infamous for enforcing paint color and grass height restrictions and fun things like that. So the list of members wasn't up to date when I got there. We didn't know who could vote, and that's kind of problematic. Announcements were set to an old set of members via a Google group, and membership dues were primarily paid in person with cash and check. PayPal was also an option, but it was kind of overly complicated for everyone involved, and it often didn't convey the information we actually needed about the members when they paid. So I came up with an interim solution to this, just like a quick and dirty, how do we make things a little more automated? How do we move things forward? So I moved our books off of a rickety laptop computer that was very old and out of updates to Xero, which is a cloud accounting software. We stopped using the old, outdated PayPal form that we had. We started using Zephy, which offers free credit card processing for nonprofits to collect membership dues, donations, and event registration fees. We started using MailChimp for outbound communications, and we started using Zapier to automate the movement of transaction information from Zephy to Xero and MailChimp, including tagging contacts to reflect their membership status by year. This all contributed to a 47% increase in members. So we had 228 when I got there, and at the end of last year we had 336. But oh my gosh, it's still such a mess. We've got all these systems, they're sort of integrated, but sometimes they're problems, right? Sometimes the Zap fails to fire, or there's some error in the information, like it doesn't validate properly. It requires manual intervention. It's not great. So now let's look at the ZNA website. So you got this little screenshot of it. You can see it's a little old, right? It's been described as quaint. It requires technical expertise to update. It's editable exclusively via FTP, an upload of SHTML files. It's not mobile friendly, and there's no integration with our membership or communication tools. So I could easily fall into the trap of implementing something for ZNA that would only benefit ZNA. But being the good Drupalist that I am, I decided to find a way to collaborate with others to more generally meet the needs of membership organizations. So before we talk about Member Platform itself, let's align a little bit on what a membership organization is. So very simply, I'm going to say it's any group that has members or constituents, right? Any number of things. So some examples of the types of membership organizations: clubs and sports teams, professional associations, civic groups, meetup groups, many types of nonprofits, and even many types of for-profit businesses, particularly those that have recurring revenue, membership, subscription services, things like that. Some examples of clubs and sports teams: you might have Lions or Rotary International, Recreational Soccer League, professional associations, maybe accounting or medical as examples. Civic groups, neighborhood, homeowners associations, parent-teacher associations, religious groups. Meetup groups: you might go to practice French with people near where you live, or maybe there's a group for real estate professionals to get together and talk about whatever real estate professionals talk about. Lots of examples. So, okay, the reality for membership organizations is that when it comes to basic operational needs, membership organizations often spend a lot of volunteer and or staff time reinventing the wheel, doing nothing, not knowing where to start, struggling to use or learn newer existing tools. And membership organizations all over the world have a wide variety of overlapping requirements. They have varying degrees of technical and financial resources. So given all this, there's a common set of requirements, right, for a lot of membership organizations. A lot need content management, a website, membership management, event registration, outbound communication, dues payment processing, member interaction, community communication among people in the community, fundraising campaign management, document management like agendas and minutes, even financial management and accounting needs, and there's lots more. Okay, so we're here to talk about Member Platform, this community initiative. So this is a communal effort to provide a Drupal native ecosystem of tools to meet the needs of membership organizations globally. It's an attempt to help organizations not reinvent the wheel, and eventually it's designed to be an integrated or replacement for existing services. So you might already have a content management system that you use, or an association management system, or a CRM, contact or customer or constituent relationship management system, marketing communication tool like MailChimp or Constant Contact, event registration platform like Eventbrite or Meetup.com or Luma, fundraising platform like DonorBox or Classy or Zephy, and many other tools that you might already be using. So the community initiative approach here, so often a contrib module or initiative maintainer builds something kind of in a bubble. The vision might not align with other people's visions, and the scope might necessarily be small if they're just one person working on this thing, or maybe two people. And there might not be general enough or polished enough for many people to adopt. Maintenance, improvements, and support are often not sustainable. So Member Platform is a community initiative designed to be widely useful for many organizations and sustainably built, maintained, and supported. So many hands make light work, and so the approach that I've tried to start with here is starting with many contributors. That ensures a more generally useful product. It ensures short-term and long-term sustainability of implementation, maintenance, and support. And we're off to a strong start. We also are taking a priority of identifying use cases, requirements from real organizations, so people who are actually going to adopt the software. So this helps us understand the diverse sets of requirements that come from different types of organizations so that we can make something sufficiently general purpose. And on that front, we do need more volunteers to write up requirements for their organizations. That's something that we're a bit lacking on right now. We're also trying to identify early adopters before we actually implement anything. We're even defining the full requirements. And getting buy-in from those real organizations interested in adopting means that they actually are much more likely to adopt the software. They've been involved from the start. They're stakeholders already. It also broadens the set of contributors adding those who stand to benefit from version 1.0. And it'll provide momentum when Member Platform 1.0 is released. It doesn't just get released and then sit there for months with the counter of users at 0, right? It can go up fairly quickly. So a history of the project to date. So back in October, I made a presentation to the Austin Neighborhoods Council kind of around some of these things. And I also created a Slack channel in Drupal Slack. So Austin Neighborhoods Council, or ANC, is an umbrella organization that has about 50 neighborhood associations as its members. So if you like acronyms, it's an MO of an NA, MOs, or a member organization of neighborhood association membership organizations. Ugh. ANC and its members are all too familiar with the shared challenges of membership organizations. So I surveyed the websites of ANC's members manually, those that have one, many don't, and I found that many showed no signs of updates in over 4 months. So I needed to present the results and my proposed solution to ANC's executive committee, and that forced me to write my ideas down on paper. So now we've got a few months between October and January. A big reason for that is I had an accident. I ran a Lime e-scooter in the back of a pickup truck and got hospitalized, and I had some other priorities. So these things happen. It was kind of at the beginning of the project, not the best time to have it happen. But that's okay. We picked back up in January with our first Zoom meeting of collaborators. We had our second meeting at the end of January and reviewed our first draft of the mission and vision for this initiative. Okay, so let's walk through this. Now, it's a little wordy, but that's because, well, it's kind of important to cover a lot of different things here. So I'm going to read to you. The mission of Member Platform is to leverage Drupal to increase the efficiency and effectiveness of membership organizations globally, especially those with low technical or financial resources, so that they can positively impact their communities. And to build an open and welcoming community of individuals united in their passion for serving membership organizations through Drupal. So the vision is to provide a Drupal native ecosystem of secure, privacy-enhancing, integrated, beautiful, and user-friendly tools that initially can meet many of the operational needs of at least 80% of membership organizations globally that have 0 to 5 staff members, including all volunteer organizations. And a note that while the focus of Member Platform is on the needs of smaller, less well-resourced organizations, it is still going to be very valuable for larger organizations as well. The second part of the vision is to facilitate the existence of, but to not actually implement, affordable turnkey software as a service solutions to empower membership organizations to more immediately and sustainably benefit the communities they serve. That's what I said. Okay, so principles that we came up with: we want to have fun as a group, we want to serve our local communities, embrace the spirit of the Drupal community, we want to start small, but we want to release frequently and at high quality. We want to prioritize smaller, less well-resourced organizations' needs, communicate openly and respectfully, create accessible solutions, facilitate security and privacy, collaborate with others before creating something new, contribute to projects that we rely on, seek diverse perspectives, and be inclusive. Okay, so then we had our, beginning of February, we had our first 24-hour Slack meeting. Next steps, still in February, we took over the member project namespace on Drupal.org, and we renamed the project from Membership Organization Platform to Member Platform, and acquired memberplatform.org. End of February, we had a high-level definition of what our minimal viable product, or MVP, our 1.0 release, was going to be. And earlier this month, we drafted a new Member Platform logo. So we had the mop monster on the left. That was the Membership Organization Platform logo that I whipped out very quickly with the help of some AI. I'm not a designer. That's what it came up with. And we went with that. And now we've got something that's a little more boring, a little less nightmare-inducing, a little clearer to understand, Member Platform. logo, and that is still in flux. I think we're going to still iterate on that. Again, I'm not a good designer. This was what I quickly whipped up in Figma. There's some more talented people out there who are going to contribute and make this better. So today, we've got 84 members on the member platform channel on Drupal Slack. We have 16 volunteers who have committed to contributing to this project in specific ways, and we have 10 membership organizations that have expressed interest in our 1.0 scope. Okay, so what is that scope? So we're basically going to offer meetup.com Lite, but for just a single group. So we'll have contact or member management, including the ability to import and export those people from the system, the ability for somebody to join, to actually become a member of this group, and to end their membership, the ability for them to customize a member profile and browse a member directory, the ability to publish and edit event details, have event registration, so RSVPs, calendar and list views of upcoming and past events, the ability to announce your event to members, and to compose and send formatted emails, including, for example, you could send an email to just people who have RSVP'd yes or no for a specific event. We're also going to localize into at least one non-English language as part of our MVP to help toward our mission of making this a globally accessible product. And we'll also do some infrastructure, have a CI/CD pipeline, including automated testing. So out of scope for 1.0, membership dues and payment processing, including self-service dues payments and renewals. That's a later thing. Paid events, donation processing, fundraising campaign management, integration with MailChimp or any specific email provider. For Drupal events, eventually we'd love to sync event information from the Drupal community events page on Drupal.org. We aspire to eventually have member interaction and community communication capabilities, document management, like for agendas and minutes, financial management and accounting integrations, and content management, if you can believe it, on Drupal. Also, elections and voting is something that a lot of organizations typically deal with, and we'd love to provide a solution for that. So we've got some big questions that we need to answer first. One is the data model and the relevant dependencies for tracking people in this system, tracking contacts. So one question is, should we contribute to and leverage either the CRM module, which does not yet have a release, or the contacts module, which does, but has its own issues. Where should key configuration live? This is a big one. Modules or recipes? Recipes have no standard upgrade path, and that makes it a challenge when we're targeting organizations that don't have technical resources to kind of keep some things up to date, as well as just for the application lifecycle, of the project. And should member platform be a distribution? Distribution's almost a dirty word now in the day of the world of recipes, but it's a decision we haven't made yet. So key next steps, first resolve the big questions, then refine the 1.0 release scope requirements, draw proper functional specifications, solicit requirements from a more diverse set of membership organizations, define our post 1.0 roadmap, create issues for the needed work, project manage those issues and the contributors, and then release Member Platform 1.0. We also need to identify how to broadly market the Member Platform product and determine what is needed to make Member Platform available as a turnkey solution to reach membership organizations without technical expertise. So a few lessons learned along the way. One, everything takes longer as a community initiative. Spreading awareness and gathering contributors takes time. Defining and aligning on the project mission and vision takes time. Soliciting feedback about things, like even just the logo, it takes time. So while a lot of this stuff could have been done much more quickly with just one person doing it, there are a lot of advantages to bringing people in early, even if it slows things down from the start. Attracting contributors globally takes special effort. For one thing, time zones make a big difference. We started out having bi-weekly Zoom meetings, but guess what? Not everyone can make that time, even if they are in the same time zone. But if they're in a completely different time zone, it may be outside of the hours when they could possibly ever make those meetings. So we ended up having 24-hour Slack meetings on alternating weeks, and that helps involve a lot more people. It's helpful to have potential volunteers declare how they will contribute. So you don't just have a bunch of people who are sitting there saying, passively saying, yeah, I'll be involved. Well, okay, but how? What are you going to do, right? That really helps to bring people into the fold and make them feel empowered to go and do something. It's also hard to actually empower other contributors to go do things when the things to do haven't been defined yet. And so that's a challenge we have kind of at the moment, is we need to actually define the tasks, right, that need to go and be done. And right now I find myself as kind of a bottleneck there. And so I need to dedicate more time to just writing down what needs to be done so that other people can pick up those tasks and run with it. And finally, before we get to questions, a call to action. So there are a lot of ways that you can help. One is to join the member platform channel on Drupal Slack. Hope to see you there. One is to declare how you will contribute. Now that's got the Drupal.org issue number, but you can also find that link in the Slack channel, and you can find it at memberplatform.org. Declare your user group or meetup's interest in being an early adopter of Member Platform 1.0. You can participate in Contribution Day on Thursday. And a note on that, so I will be there during Contribution Day working with anybody who wants to actually accomplish things. So we'll be defining tasks, we'll be setting people off to go run and do those things. So if you want to get involved in this initiative, Thursday is definitely your best time to do so. Then there are two BOFs on Thursday. One is our usual weekly contributor meeting, and you're all invited. So that's from 11 to 12 in Lennox. So we hope to see you there. And then Thursday as well at 2 p.m., I'm hosting a BOF for Drupal user group and local associations about their website requirements, because that's our initial target audience for 1.0. You can also grab a card from me with the Slack channel and the project page QR code if you want to after the talk. And I also have a sheet if you want to just write your email address down because you want to be updated when we've got news to share. We've got a mailing list and some other options for you. So there's the QR code. You're welcome to scan that, or as I said, I've got cards that you can grab. I'll give you just a second if you want to snap it. And finally, thank you to the author of If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, and also the author of the fan art that you saw throughout the presentation. So this was, what was their name? Sonia 201 on DeviantArt, and we got our cute mice. So thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. Yes, sir.
So, over the years with Drupal, I've done a number of member organizations, and there's a ton of pitfalls that have to do with how you actually implement how you make somebody a member, how long their membership lasts, what level membership they're at, that kind of stuff. Do you have ideas about where you're going with that?
Yeah, so the question is basically around the complexities of types of memberships, right? So memberships can involve one person, they can involve multiple people, they can have different durations, different expiration logic, end of the calendar year, end of a full year, end of the month in which you join, monthly, quarterly, renewing, like there are lots of different permutations. And I'd say we don't have specific plans yet for how to address that, but we know we need to address that. And so for Member Platform 1.0, we're only interested in one membership type, and that is you're either a member or you're not. There's no expiration, right? It's like you're joining a meetup group, and you can leave when you want to, right? But we want to think through very carefully all of those use cases for the different membership types, because those are all use cases that we're going to need to support in the future. And so some of that work is to think that through at least is still in scope for the 1.0 timeframe.
You think you wanna do it as being a member as being something that is on a field on your profile that says that you're a member, or do you want to have it as a role?
Yeah, so good question. So how to represent your membership, right? So I think one of the big questions we need to answer first is how are members actually represented in the system? So one approach that some people take is they say, well, a member is a user in Drupal, right? And that's where you kind of store that information. There's some advantages to that. Another approach is a member is its own type of entity, right? Or a contact is its own type of entity. And maybe you've got subtypes or bundles for individuals, households, organizations, things like that. That gives you some flexibility. Personally, that's more the direction I'm leaning toward because I think it just gets hairy, kind of overloading the concept of a Drupal user with this thing that you're tracking that isn't necessarily logging in. The contacts module, for example, is a modern Drupal-based CRM, but it takes the approach of everything as a user. Even an organization is a user. And I kind of philosophically clash with that approach. So once we've decided where contacts live and how they're stored, then the question is, how do you represent memberships, right? And I think this has been attempted in a variety of different ways before, and I think we have a lot of lessons to learn there. There's something in the membership namespace on Drupal.org that isn't quite what we need it to be to use, but we could probably learn from the model that they used there. Also, there's prior art, in CRM land in Drupal, Red Hen CRM, as well as CRM Core, where we could look to. Also, the maintainer of the CRM namespace, which doesn't yet have a release, he's very interested in this problem and is already kind of planning on solving some of these things in that namespace. So likely we will end up contributing a lot of these requirements and what we actually need to do to that project first. So yeah, there's a lot of work to be done around that. And it's going to take time, right? So people are eager to get off and build something and ship it, but to do that right, it's a really complex problem, right? I also think we need to separate, the representation of membership from the commercial aspect of it and taking dues for a number of reasons. One, many organizations don't actually have dues for their memberships. They're free. Like your local Drupal users group, you probably just show up. Maybe you get on their email list. Now you're a member, but you haven't paid anything. Let's keep the process simple. Let's keep the representation in Drupal simple. But also you have much more complex use cases that do need to pay for memberships and maybe offer recurring billing and things like that. So Drupal Commerce is kind of the obvious direction to go because they've got a large ecosystem to support some of this stuff. And the complexity there will just be figuring out how to integrate between Drupal Commerce's representation of things and however we end up representing memberships in Member Platform.
One other complication in this area, one of the organizations I built a website for, they actually had adjunct memberships, I guess I would say, where you had a primary member and then you had a linked member who could only be a member as long as the primary member was a member.
Yes, that's a good example. An adjunct member where you've got a primary member and then an associate member who can only be a member if the primary member remains a member. So it's another great example of a use case. And I would love for you to contribute that to our issue queue. We've actually got an issue to collect use cases and requirements like that. Would love to have you document that for us. That'd be great. There are other cases like my neighborhood association. We offer one-person memberships and two-person memberships. There's actually no difference between two one-person memberships and a two-person membership other than there's one form to fill out instead of two, right? But even that is a certain level of complication, right? And also the concept of, well, who can update information about a member? So I'm essentially the primary member in my household. My wife is not particularly involved, right, in this particular organization. And so if there's a change to her information, that's on me to update it. And so the system needs to support sort of a delegation of sorts of, who's allowed to edit whose information, essentially in the underlying CRM.
But not city
Civi CRM. Okay, so just saying Civi CRM is a good question for me. So yeah, Civi CRM is fantastic, very powerful, and very complex. And so we're looking at Civi CRM, and I think we're going to take a lot of learnings from it, but also there's a lot there, and we're trying to be simpler, easier to use than Civi. But one thing I think we're keen on is having some interoperability between our solution and Civi. So for example, you might have an organization that's a little tired with Civi. It's too complex, or the person who used to manage it left, right? They need something a little simpler. Well, they could migrate to Member Platform to manage the things that they need if we offer enough of what they need. Conversely, somebody's on Member Platform and it doesn't offer X feature that Civi has. Maybe they're outgrowing, what we offer in the Drupal native solution. Well, we could, support them migrating away to Civi. So we want to be open, to the data coming in and out, and so maintaining some parity with Civi CRM's data model, I think will serve us well.
I'm really interested in this idea. Just the pattern overall of like collaborating within the community to come up with like better starting points. Like this is right in line with CMS. We were talking about this at the agency I'm at, and we're really thinking that membership sites are something that we want to partner on this and kind of help push this ball forward. Because a lot of us are working on membership sites starting from scratch, and it's rough because a lot of the clients are often the lower budget ones, and
Right.
we can't innovate on complex membership features on those projects.
Yeah, fantastic. So for the recording, somebody who works for an agency and the agency has a lot of small membership projects and they just can't fulfill some of those things. The budget's too small maybe, and you're starting from scratch every time, right? So interested in collaborating, and we'd love to have you. I think at the moment our collaborators are all individual contributors, but we'd love to engage directly with agencies and find out how agencies can get involved in this project and support. We've seen agencies do that, to your point, to Drupal CMS, right, and how Drupal CMS has been developed in a short time frame. And so it'd be great to accelerate the time frame on this and bring in the expertise and resources of some agencies. Yeah.
So this closely fits to a project that I'm working on. Some of the features that are needed, there's some older modules for it. Mainly there's kind of with what you said, a user relationship. So potentially in the sense of like social media, that I can like other people, that I can have like a friend group set up. And then the other one is a way to invite people to the membership or into the site. So you can't necessarily register or create your own account, but that you gain access by being invited by somebody who is a member.
Okay, so I heard two essentially requests for features there. The second one was the ability to invite somebody to the site and maintain some sort of relationship related to that. And then the first one, remind me again.
So they're kind of two things separate. So the one to be able to invite, but then also to be able to create a relationship. So ultimately, the idea would be that if I invited you, then you would become potentially there would be a relationship between my account and your account because I invited you into that.
Got it. So yeah, the ability to create relationships between accounts as somebody who's actually one of those accounts, right? So community interaction, the ability to create friendships, for lack of a better term, right, with other members and build on that, right? Communicate, etc.
Being able to close the registration, but limit the creating of new accounts via invite links.
Okay. Yep. So so ability to prevent registration out of the blue, but allow registration via invite links. Yep. Great requirements. Anyone else? Questions? Thoughts? I'm curious, who else has an organization in their mind that they're thinking of for this? Is there a membership organization? Yeah.
Where I live in Rochester, New York, we want to create one for Domino Group. A group of us will come together to make Dominoes.
For a Domino's group in Rochester, New York. Fantastic. Yeah, so that's a great use case, and that would be served probably by our 1.0 release. So we would love to connect with you to bring you on board as a different use case outside of Drupal user groups for our 1.0 release would be great.
One thing to consider with that is like, in Meetup is like a good example of like more of
Yes, great comment. So meetup.com and Luma and other sites like that don't just serve one meetup group, right, and their constituents, but provide marketing and promotion, right, to their entire member base. And so that is something that you lose with our model. And I've heard one idea to kind of try to mitigate that, and that would be some sort of federated model, of allowing a different site to list events from a bunch of these sites, and something along those lines. That sounds like it's probably in our future as well.
But in our case, we don't use Meetup. So the members who play don't really, it's all like close-knit family. Everybody knows almost everybody. So for our case, I don't think it's going to affect us that much. Yeah, we don't use Meetup currently.
So for the Domino's group, you don't currently use Meetup. It's a essentially closed community of people who know each other well.
We know each other well, and persons that come on board is because they know somebody else already on board.
Right, friend of a friend can join is kind of the idea. And so having some structure maybe to that and being able to more easily communicate within the group is sort of a goal.
Really communicate with each other is on WhatsApp. So on WhatsApp, say, hey guys, Saturday meeting, playing against another team.
Yeah, so your group communicates on WhatsApp currently, and that's an interesting kind of general use case to solve for. Is it's a loose group of people communicating on WhatsApp that involves meeting up, right, having some sort of event, but it's not structured really, and so you could find some value from that structure.
There's some newish apps. There's something called Partyful. So if people are organizing like a birthday party or something, it's like a very lightweight app to send out notifications to people who are invited. Something like that, kind of. Like if the platform could offer that kind of feature, that would be cool.
Yeah, so Partyful, which allows you to send invites out to people for an event. Yeah, so that's another cool avenue. And so, as I said, we're still refining actually the MVP scope and that 1.0 scope, and then we need to define the roadmap. So what are we going to do, past 1.0 is still very much TBD. And one of the big indicators that's going to, influence what we do is what organizations are interested in using this, right? Because I think the reality is it's going to be hard to market this open source solution broadly to people, right? Once there's a SaaS solution on top of it, fine, that can have a commercial organization maybe that's doing a bunch of general marketing, but when we're in the midst of just open source, right, we kind of need to rely on our existing connections to organizations, whether it's a Domino's group, or party invites that you're sending out or whatever it is. So I really do want to encourage anybody who's really interested in this is hop on that Slack channel or otherwise get in touch, and let's document the requirements for your group. I'll hop on a call with you and try to get some bullet points down and just hash it out, because I would love for you to be able to use this product, right? All right, anybody else? Thoughts or other meetup groups or organizations? Mark?
Of this more is rugby association.
Rugby associations?
Youth rugby association. So it'd be great to be able to organize people into teams, so to speak, and have the adjunct user parents of their kids, so that their kids can be maintained by the parent overall.
Yeah, so the ability to organize sports teams, get people into groups, manage the coordination, of those things. Yeah, absolutely. And there's a whole class of, services out there that offer that, just as there's a whole class of services that offer general association management or, different, or party invites and things like that. And I think there's a general theme here, right, which is we saw during the Dries note, right, the keynote, is we need to move beyond just a starter kit for a website and more like, let's provide the whole thing, right? Let's have an entire segment, right, of the market that we can provide a Drupal-based solution to. And that's going to take agencies, participating to sell it. And it's going to take, a lot of people contributing to it and also just using it themselves. Yeah.
Even in our situation, we are now in the process of getting registered in New York State as a registered organization, and we get
Yeah, so the dominant organization looking at incorporating New York State and thinking down the line about tax returns and things like that, and being able to just have that built into the platform and have things sent off to the IRS. And yeah, I mean, I think sky's the limit in many ways, right? And that's also a danger. Like, what is the focus of the project? How do we keep it manageable, sustainable? And so I think, frankly, the number of contributors that we have and the number of contributors interested in focusing on things like that, and that might be honestly a little more of a niche request, but it's the kind of thing that if we can get enough people together to work on it, like, it could absolutely be added onto the platform.
Because I see you had the accounting and financial. Whenever that stage gets there,
Yeah.
I can already see use case for it.
Yeah, and accounting and financial, probably we're talking pretty simple, right? So a lot of nonprofits, for example, if they make under $50,000, like, they file a very simple postcard, right, with the IRS, and like, that's the extent of their tax filing. And that's something maybe we could help along with. But they don't need a full accounting suite. They just need to understand, like, what were their revenues and what were their expenses, or something that basic. And that's the kind of thing that I think this could really help with the low end of the market and the really smaller organizations. And then for larger organizations, I think it very clearly could involve integration with accounting software, right? QuickBooks Online, Xero, there are a few out there, and you can meet the needs of a lot of organizations pretty quickly by offering some integration points. Thank you.
The nonprofit thing, that's very U.S.-centric.
The concept of a nonprofit is U.S.-centric, or?
Not the concept, but what you were talking about, that kind of a detail. And nonprofits can get into really big trouble, even in the U.S., because if you're taking dues and you have members, but most of your money comes from a magazine subscription or sales of merchandise or something like that, if it's more than like 30%, then you owe taxes, and you're not a nonprofit.
Yeah, so comment in the US about unrelated business income tax and complexities there. And I think the reality is, right, we're never going to be providing tax advice to people. But I think for an organization that knows they've got a very simple set of finances, they might be able to bypass a more expensive, more fully featured accounting suite for something very simple. Particularly if, let's say, all of their income is coming through the system, right? It would be great for them to not have to deal with a second system of accounting. Yeah, no, good points.
What you brought up is exactly why we prefer to have a platform that automates this process, because right now it's being done on paper by somebody who has to do that. What if the person retires or gives up?
Yeah, so your organization is dealing with a lot of the financial stuff on paper right now, and what happens when they retire or get hit by a bus, right? Whatever it is. Yeah, you need a more sustainable solution.
What he said is right. You cannot use more than 40% of non-revenue dues.
Yeah. Well, we're out of time, but thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it, and I look forward to connecting with each of you. Please do reach out or find me after the session. Thank you.